I sat in the middle of the family meeting and watched as my younger siblings started making decisions about our father's estate without even asking for my input. I am the eldest daughter, and I have been the primary caregiver for both of our parents for the last decade. But now that there was money involved, my brothers treated me like I was just the hired help. They spoke over me, ignored my suggestions, and literally pushed my chair back from the table so they could spread their maps and spreadsheets out. I felt a cold, heavy weight in my chest as I realized that the respect I had earned through years of sacrifice was being erased by their greed in a matter of minutes. This wasn't a sudden betrayal. It was the final, ugly conclusion to years of them taking my labor for granted. My brothers, Mark and Steven, had moved away to the city years ago, only visiting for holidays while I managed the doctor's appointments, the house repairs, and the end-of-life care for our mother. I had given up my career in my 30s to ensure our parents could stay in their home, believing that my family saw the value in what I was doing. I realized now that they just saw me as a convenient placeholder who was now an obstacle to their inheritance. They actually started talking about selling the house I currently lived in as if it were a vacant lot, never once looking me in the eye to see if I was okay with being homeless. It was a level of cold-blooded entitlement that made my blood run cold. I'm curious which one of you is going to tell the lawyer that you're selling the house while the person holding the legal power of attorney is still sitting at the table, I said, my voice cutting through their loud arguing like a knife. They both stopped talking and looked at me with a mixture of annoyance and surprise, as if the furniture had just started speaking. Mark tried to tell me that they were just trying to handle the heavy lifting so I wouldn't have to worry about the details. He actually had the nerve to say that I had done enough and that it was time for the men of the family to take over the finances. I felt a surge of adrenaline that made my fingers itch to grab the documents and shred them right there. I stood up, walked to the head of the table, and pulled out the legal documents our father had signed 6 months ago when he was still of sound mind. I showed them that I wasn't just the caregiver. I was the sole executor and the majority owner of the property because our father knew they would try exactly this. I told them that the meeting was over and that if they wanted to discuss the estate further, they could do it through my attorney and not over my dinner table. I watched the respect they had been faking for years turn into genuine fear as they realized I held all the cards they thought they had stolen. I haven't spoken to either of them since that day, and I have already begun the process of setting up a trust that ensures the property stays in the family without them ever being able to touch the principal. I learned that you can't buy respect with sacrifice, and that sometimes the people you do the most for are the ones who will value you the least. I am living in the house peacefully now, and I have reclaimed my life and my time for myself. I'm doing well, and I've found a new community of friends who actually value the work I do. I realized that being the good daughter was a trap, and I am much happier now that I'm just a woman who knows exactly what she is worth.